to say welcome. Welcome, as well as all of us here in the United States listening in on the platform live tonight as we get ready to bring on Dr. Umar Johnson, who's going to be speaking to us tonight. For those of you who may not be familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson, know that he is a nationally certified school psychologist who practiced private throughout Pennsylvania. He has lectured at this point all over the planet, and really doing some amazing work. You'll get a chance to hear about his latest endeavor that all of us can get involved in. And I want to give out his contact information and his website. Keep in mind, everything is going to be available here in the show notes, www, and that's Dr. Dr. Umar, Umar, Johnson, JOHSON.com, Dr. Umar Johnson. And you can find out all the details there, and I'm sure he's going to fill us in on everything. Tonight we're going to be speaking, and Dr. Umar Johnson will be speaking for the very first time on the St. Louis Massacre, and really about Ferguson fighting back and what's going on there and how it's impacting the war against black males. So let's take this opportunity to welcome our brother, Dr. Umar, to the platform. He certainly is no stranger to the Remix family, a part of it as well. Peace and greetings to you, Dr. Umar.
Peace and love, Miss Blue. How's it going? And peace and love to your listening audience. Glad to be back.
Oh, yes. Everything is wonderful. Peace and love to you as well. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and speak with us this evening. I know that your schedule and the work that you're doing is it really kind of pulls you in all directions, but definitely this is a conversation that needed to be had, and I know there's nobody on this planet that could have had this conversation but you, that we needed to hear this message from this evening. So we're going to get right into it, Dr. Umar. I'm going to let you start wherever you choose to and really begin to start talking about the war of our black men and the war against our black men, I should say, and really begin to help us to understand what that looks like today.
Definitely. I guess probably the biggest thing that everyone is talking about at this point is the Ferguson, Missouri uprising, and rightfully so. And to be honest with you, I commend the brothers and sisters who are involved in that, because although we don't like to see disorganized riot and unrest, at the same time, I have to admire them because they are the only group of black people in the past year or two who decided to stand up and express their discontent with the assassination, the unwarranted assassination of black males, not in New York, not in D.C., not in Detroit, not in Philadelphia, not in L.A., not in Houston, but a small little town, Ferguson, Missouri, is where we saw black people stand up and say that we're not going to take it any longer. And no matter what people may think about them, they earned the attention of the world by expressing their discontent over the murder of that brother down there. And it was so sad to hear about it, because the way in which witnesses described his assassination, they say that he had his hands up and a police officer shot him. And then when he fell, the police officer came over and shot him a few more times and killed him. And so when you watch something like that, a child with his hands in the air, he just graduated from high school, and you watch him put his hands in the air and you see the police officer shoot him anyway, you just can't go home and go to sleep to that. And I think all black people need to look at what happened in Ferguson, because to be honest with you, Ms. Blue, a lot of us have grown numb. We've grown apathetic. We've grown insensitive to the murder of not just black men, but black boys. They're killing boys. Trayvon was a boy. That young brother down in Florida was a boy. This young man in Ferguson, these are boys. They're killing the boys now, not just men, but the children. And so for me, I honor those brothers and sisters down there for taking the stand that they took.
Yes. So true. Now, we know that we've had situations, and so many of these cases I'm sure you've come in contact with your work, that don't get the recognition, that don't get the TV play about the war against our black men or our black males. That I want you to talk a little bit about that, because believe it or not, it's still people out there that believe that even though we've had these incidents happening in media, that still don't realize that these situations are happening as we speak right now.
Without question, I think you raise a good point. A lot of the murders of black men that we hear about only represent a small fraction of the actual loss of life that our community is sustaining. For every black man we hear about or boy on TV who was murdered, there's about 10 other ones who are also murdered in the same situation. But their case just did not happen to be videotaped or was not necessarily exposed by someone from the community for all to see. The USA Today newspaper came out today, I believe it was, or yesterday, but I think it was today, and they said that every day, or is it every week? It was either every day or every week, American police killed 2 black people. It was either every day or every week, that 2 a week at least, and possibly 2 a day. That's how many of us are being murdered by the police every day, which is interesting because so much attention is paid to black-on-black homicide. And it should be, because we can't accept black people killing black people but get upset when white people do it. But it's amazing how they put such a big light on black homicide, but they put a very small light on police-on-black homicide. And one of the things that have always bothered me, even in Philadelphia, we had a case years ago, Dante Dawson, a black male who was shot to the back of his head as he sat in a parked car. In America, and black people have allowed this to be done to us, Ms. Blue, we have allowed the American people and the American government to convince us into believing that the life of a police officer is worth more than the life of a child or a life of a black person. In other words, when we're murdered down in the street by police, there's almost no unrest on behalf of society. But when police are murdered, there's this national recognition that's paid. There's this national mourning. There's this national respect, and when you look at the way in which the corporate-owned media put forth their coverage on death and homicide, you can only draw one conclusion, and that is that in America, the life of a black man is worth nothing, and the life of a police officer is considered more valuable than the life of a black child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So talk about, if you can here, Dr. Umar, talk about your work and how this all plays in together. Of course, we know you are a black male yourself, but talk about your work, your passion, and what you're doing, and how that change is happening, or how is it being impacted by the work that you're doing?
Right now, as of a few days ago, Ms. Blue, I accepted a job as principal of a school here in Pennsylvania. And it was a tough decision to make because, as you know, I like to travel and speak.
Yes.
And for the past almost 4 years now, I've been the most requested African-American, if you would, for lack of a better word, speaker in the United States. And so it was a tough decision, but I made it because I felt that even being on the lecture circuit, even sitting at the top of the conscious community, a part of me still felt empty. And I knew what the void was. And the void was the fact that I wasn't really working directly with our children. Yes, I was doing the psychology evaluations, but when you evaluate the child, that conversation is all about questions and answers. It's not really a dialogue. And, of course, I do the counseling. But even with the counseling, it's normally problem-centered in both of those, whether it's evaluations or therapy, you're trying to solve a problem after it's already started. And so for a while I've been feeling a little empty because even with all the traveling and the speaking, I still felt that I wasn't really giving our children as much as they needed. And so coming back into the school, and I've been a school administrator before, it's not new to me, but it's been a few years since I've done it. I just feel, although I'm going to have to sacrifice so much of my travel time, I just, on another hand, I just feel really fulfilled now. I really feel good about doing this, even though I've had to sacrifice, because my heart is with our children, the boys as well as the girls, and being able to work with them directly on a regular basis, for me is really going to help me psychologically and spiritually just kind of stay grounded until we have the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy. And to let everyone know where we are with that, so far, at last count, we raised $185,000. We're probably just under $200,000 right now. We started the fundraiser in May the 20th to June the 20th, and then June the 20th to July the 20th, and we almost are to August the 20th. So you're looking at 3 months, $200,000. That's over $70,000 a month. And so for me, I cannot be disappointed in that. Our people on the grassroots level have really got behind me in this project and have helped me raise that type of money that quickly, and the donations are still coming in. Now, the question I've been asked is whether or not we still have an opportunity to get St. Paul's College. And to answer that question, yes, until someone else steps forward and pays the $2 million that the college is asking for, it is still up for grabs, and we're the most interested buyer that they have, and they are still very interested in working with us to get the college. So it's not over. Just last week, Mrs. Blue, the realty company that's representing St. Paul's provided my lawyer with a copy of the back title to the campus so that his title search company could do a thorough background investigation on the campus to see if there was any causes for concern as we get closer to purchasing this. So the message to everyone as it relates to the St. Paul's College is to continue to donate. Let the money continue to mount, because we're at $200,000. In another month, we'll be at $300,000. And I think at some point, Miss Blue, the Board of Trustees of St. Paul's are going to have to come to a decision on how they want to proceed, because they have this black man from Pennsylvania who's trying to acquire this college to use it as a school for black boys, and we have no other buyer, and he's doing the best he can to get this money. So although we can't just give him the school flat out, but maybe we need to come back to the table with Dr. Umar Johnson, sit down, and come up with a direct purchaser-to-seller agreement. And to be honest with you, Ms. Blue, that is one of the things that has unnerved me a little bit, because I'm not understanding why a historically black college who's dealing with a black man who's very serious and sincere and committed to what I'm trying to do, why not cut out the middleman? Why not cut out the bank? Why not cut out the white realty company? Why don't we do business with each other face-to-face the way black people should? Because at the end of the day, we are in a state of war. We are in a crisis. And when you're in a crisis, making money should not be your primary motive. Making a difference should be your primary motive.
Yes. Well, that certainly is good news. as far as the school. Congratulations on you taking that step to get back into another aspect of the work, which is so important, working one-on-one with our young boys and our young girls, and who better than Dr. Umar to be there. I do want you to give out the information. I know we've done this on the Remix, and we've put it up on the Remix page, and many have donated as well. I want you to give out that information again for those who want to contribute to the school, to the project, and to the cause.
Will do. And I just wanted to say this because it crossed my mind, Ms. Blue. The last time we did a show together on your network, I was in Florida. And I forget exactly how long ago that was. I know it's been a couple of months. But interestingly enough, I'll be going back to Florida on Sunday. We'll be celebrating 100 years of Garvey and Garveyism on the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey's Earth Day, which is Sunday, August the 17th. I will be with my Bobo Shanti Rastafari brothers in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We will be at the Lauderdale Lakes Library on Sunday the 17th, day after tomorrow. Program starts at 3. It's free. We want everyone to come out, and I'm going to be the keynote speaker talking about the significance of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, as well as his movement of Garveyism, which is the highest stage of revolutionary Pan-African nationalism. And we will be celebrating that on its 100th birthday. And then we will have a Black Male Youth Conference in Riviera Beach, Florida on Wednesday the 19th, I believe it is. It's definitely the 19th, and that's either Tuesday or Wednesday. And then I'll be in Miami speaking on both Friday night and Saturday night. I believe one of those nights there will be a screening of Hidden Colors 3 on one of those nights in Miami, but I will be speaking both days, Friday at the Chroma Gallery and then Saturday at one of the black churches in Miami. So for the Florida family, we want everybody to know that I'll be coming back, and this will actually be my first visit to Miami in almost a year, if not more than a year, and it will definitely be my first visit to Fort Lauderdale on Saturday since Kwanzaa of 2012. So it's been a while for me in Fort Lauderdale. But brothers and sisters, we want everybody to donate and help me raise this money. Please, please, please stop saying that you already donated. This is not a one-time thing. We're trying to raise $2 million minimally. And the reason we say minimally is because if other buyers come to the table for St. Paul's, naturally they're going to take the highest bidder, which means we may have to raise the price at which we're willing to offer to acquire the school. So $2 million of what they're asking right now. God willing, we will be the only people still interested in the property, but we're going to need money beyond that in terms of operational expenses, rehabilitation expenses, and otherwise. That's why I originally set the fundraising goal for $5 million, because $5 million would be enough to acquire the school, rehab the school, and operate the school at least for the first 2 years. And by the way, the deadline hasn't passed. My original deadline, Ms. Blue, was August the 21st, which is going to be my 40th Earth Day, and that deadline hasn't come yet. We still have a few more days. So brothers and sisters, we may not hit $5 million in a week, but we can definitely hit $250,000 in a week because we're already around $200,000. So I would be happy to know that the brothers and sisters helped me raise $250,000, although not $5 million, by August the 21st. So you want to go to the website, drumarjohnsonschool.com, drumarjohnsonschool.com. You can make your donation by PayPal. You can also mail in your donation by check or money order, which a lot of people have been doing. I've been getting just as many mail-in donations as we've been getting PayPal donations. In fact, a lot of the mail-in donations to checks in money orders have often been more than the PayPal. So although we've gotten more PayPal donations, we've gotten larger amounts through the mail-ins. The largest single donation that has been made so far, and I want your listeners to hear this in case one of them is motivated enough to surpass it. And the largest single donation came to us from a brother in Detroit, Michigan, and he donated $38,000 in one. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Ms. Blue, $3,800. Our largest single donation has been $3,800. A brother in Detroit. So we hope that somebody will match that tonight with $4,000 or $5,000. And one of the reasons also, Ms. Blue, that I took this position is I felt that there's a lot of people who didn't know me when I was a school administrator previously. And so by seeing that I have the ability to operate a school, to run a school, I think that for some of our people who are on the sidelines as it relates to how serious I am about the Fred Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, now that I am actually running a legitimate school, not a home school, but a real school, I think that will motivate some people on the sidelines to go ahead and write them checks. So, brothers, please help us. It's not about me. It is about our children.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I know this has definitely been a part of your passion. It's really a part of your work when it comes to really our people and talking about us, not just us here in America. What about those, because I'm getting a couple of questions, that are international that want to donate? Is it still the same process for them, or is there something different they need to do?
Same process. They can donate on the website. PayPal is global.
Yes.
So no matter where they live, they can go to drumarjohnsonschool.com and make their donation. Obviously, it's going to be converted into U.S. currency. So if you're making a donation from London, if you're making a donation from the European Union, who has a higher monetary value whose currency has a higher monetary value than a U.S. dollar, it actually gives us more money. So if you donate $100 from London or $100 from any of the European Union nations, it's going to be more than $100 because you're giving 100 of your native dollars. So that's going to be a euro, or a pound. And a euro or a pound right now in the international market is worth more than $1. So if someone donates 100 pounds from London or 100 euros from France, then that actually is going to end up being more like $125, $150. So we definitely welcome donations from brothers and sisters everywhere, including Africa, Australia. I've gotten donations from nearly every continent. I've gotten them from Australia, China, Japan, South America, Europe, Africa. But I would say that I am looking to get more donations from Europe. My London supporters is one of my largest groups, and I haven't had a chance to get over to London because of accepting this position, but I want my London, England family to know that I will be coming back over there. I haven't been there since November, so it's been almost a year, I believe, since I've been. And so I'm looking to go back during either Thanksgiving or Christmas time. So I want my London family to know that I will be back. I haven't forgotten you, and I want y'all to get y'all checks ready and get y'all money ready, because I'm really looking for London to show up really, really big for Dr. Umar when I come back and do the fundraiser. I just got an invitation yesterday to speak in Cape Town, South Africa. And the South African currency is just as strong as the American currency. So I'm looking for our brothers and sisters down in South Africa, Azania, to really come out strong for me as well. So it's not over, Ms. Blue. We're going to go past the August 21st deadline. A lot of people were under the impression that if we didn't raise the money by August 21st, all hope was lost. Not true at all. We are the only serious, interested bidder on this property. So we have to keep on going. And I believe that once we hit $1 million, we'll be able to come to the table and force them to give us that school. And although we will still owe them some money, at least we can begin the process of getting it ready for our children. So although we need 2 to buy and 5 to operate, once we hit 1 million, Miss Blue, I'm confident that I will be able to occupy that campus. So brothers and sisters, we are at $250,000 now, 250,000. Help me get that other 750,000, and I'm hoping we have it by the end of the American public school year, which is June. I'm hoping that by June the 21st, we have $1 million so Dr. Umar Johnson can transition from the charter school where I'm at now and begin the process of building a private school, Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. I hope everyone helps me get to that goal.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Definitely beautiful. So, again, you guys have the website. Everything is available in the show notes. Definitely go and support. You know, maybe it's something. Sometimes we can think, like you said, that giving is not enough, or we gave one time. And sometimes it's not even about the largest amount. You know, I know for the Remix family, it's almost about $2 million. And even if you said that you were going to set aside $10 a month or $5 a month, or a certain amount, whatever you can give, don't think that too little is not enough, that you can't do something. But really,
that's right.
It's a beautiful
and also, Ms. Blue, to add to that, not to cut you off, my apologies, but it's what you give overall. In other words, we're keeping a tally of everyone's total contribution. And I want your listeners to hear that, because no donation will be lost. No donation will be lost. We're keeping a tally of how much everyone gives, because when we finally open up the doors of the Fred Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, we're going to have a honorary ceremony where we honor everybody who donated. Whether you gave $1 or $1 million, you will be honored and respect will be paid to you. And for those who gave at least $1,000, they will be honored as the bronze founders, founding mothers and founding fathers, financial founding mothers and financial founding fathers of the Fred Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. If you give at least $2,500, then we move up to silver, $5,000. We move up to gold, $10,000. We move up to platinum, and $20,000. We move up to diamond. And so, no matter what you give, whether it's $1 or more, you will be honored. But if you go above and beyond the call of duty, your name will earn a permanent place in the history of the Fred Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. And if we don't end up with St. Paul's, and we certainly plan on doing so, but if we don't end up with St. Paul's, I'm looking, Mrs. Blue, in the last weekend of August, which is in 2 weeks, I'm going to be going to Detroit so that I can begin looking at some of the school properties that are available there, because if we are not successful in our campaign for St. Paul's, and we certainly hope that we are, because I want a residential school, we're going to turn our sights to Detroit and Chicago. I have realtors in both cities, and they're going to help me comb through the many schools that have been shut down and are now available for sale by the city to see which city, based on location, based on cost, based on size, and based on amenity, which school in Detroit or Chicago, amongst all of those that are available, would be best for us to start the first Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. So if we don't end up in Lawrenceville, Virginia, we will end up in either Detroit, Michigan, or Chicago, Illinois.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Just amazing work. Just amazing work that's going on. Talk about some of the 10, if you could really kind of give us some insight on the top 10 things that you're focused on right now when it comes to globally taking a look at the war against black males.
Well, number one, organization. The war against African males is global. And so we just returned from Ghana 2 Sundays ago, August the 3rd. I came back with a large group of brothers and sisters who traveled with me to Ghana. We had a tremendous time, Ms. Blue, and we want to invite everyone from the Remix listening audience to go with us back to Africa, back to Ghana, back to West Africa next year. We're going to make it an annual trip. It will be in July. Start saving your money, because we're letting you know well in advance. It's going to be about $4,000, everything included except meals and spending money. And so get your money ready because we had a tremendous time, Miss Blue. Most of the brothers and sisters who went with us to Ghana, it was their first time in Africa, and I was just pleased to share that moment with them. And it was my first time in Ghana. So for all of us, it was the first time. We went to the slave dungeons. We went to Slave River where they forced our ancestors to wash themselves for the last time before they began the long journey down to either Elmina or Cape Coast Slave Dungeon. We went to the Prempeh Museum. We were honored to be given African names by the paramount king of the Ahanta people, Nana Nketia V, who's also a world-renowned scholar. We just had a tremendous time. We ate good food. We got African clothes made. I mean, I went broke buying dashikis. I bought about 25 dashikis. I just decorated my principal's office today with all the kente cloth that I bought. You know, so my whole principal office is kente cloth out. I just did that today, and we loved it. But in addition to Ghana next year, we also will be going to South Africa. So the goal is to go to South Africa the first 2 weeks and then go back to Ghana the second 2 weeks in July. July is the month of Pan-Africanism for me, and we also will be taking part in the Panafest conference and celebration in Ghana. That's the Pan-African Festival. It occurs every couple of years. It's a very big deal, and we want our brothers and sisters to experience that. So for brothers and sisters who went with us this time, you want to go back again because we didn't experience Panafest, and I don't want you to miss that. But I'm bringing it up, Ms. Blue, to get back to your question to say that when we were at the Cape Coast Dungeon, I met with the youth there, and they decided to help me organize a massive international Pan-African Youth Conference for ages 18 to 38. Anybody can come. Anybody can come, but the focus will be 18 to 38, and the conference will be held inside of the Cape Coast Slave Dungeon. That's one of the things that we're working on.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, yes, that's going to be a really, really nice trip. My godson, one of my godsons, is actually from Ghana. So, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Everyone is excited. You have the information, you guys. Go to Dr. Umar's website because that's where you can stay in tune. Also, you can connect with him on Facebook. All of the links, all of the information is there. Time is moving so fast. So if you think you want to go, this is the time to start saving. You can't wait 30 days before and then, and think it's going to happen that way. But this is definitely an opportunity for you to take this journey and take this trip. And it sounds super amazing. So beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that.
And so everyone knows, you can connect with me on Facebook at Dr. Umar Ifatunde, which is my Nigerian name. I now have a Ghanaian name. But Dr. Umar Ifatunde, Ifatunde, Dr. Umar Ifatunde, Ifatunde meaning destiny has returned. You can also connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and WhatsApp at Dr. Umar Johnson on Twitter, Instagram, and WhatsApp. You can also connect with me on both websites, drumarjohnsonschool.com, where you will make your donation, also drumarjohnson.com. You can email me, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. You can also send me your resume if you're interested in being considered for employment at FDMG or ADAG, the Anna Douglas and Amy Garvey Academy for the Young Women. Send your resume to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. We are looking to build a totally Pan-African international teaching, faculty, and staff corps. So we're looking for brothers and sisters from around the world, and we're hoping to be able to help them with their relocation expenses to get them out, because we want our children to be exposed not just to African-American educators, but African educators from around the world. We want a diverse African teaching force that is even more diverse than what we find at our Ivy League colleges. So please, please send your resume. We've received over 300 resumes already, over 300 resumes. I'm hoping that everyone sent in a resume has also made a donation, because obviously if you sent me a resume and haven't made a donation to the school, you are not likely to be considered. But there's just so much going on. A lot of activity is going on, Mrs. Blue. And one thing I wanted to say about the Ferguson situation
Yes.
Because I've gotten a lot of texts and emails, brothers and sisters are asking me, what should be done? What am I doing? Well, first of all, I've been contacted from about 5 different parties in St. Louis and Ferguson who plan to get Dr. Umar Johnson down there real quick. That last weekend in August that I said I'm going to be using to go to Detroit, if things materialize, I may have to switch Detroit and instead use that weekend to go to St. Louis and Ferguson. So, whatever the brothers and sisters on the ground down there decide in terms of timing for my arrival, I may have to cancel some upcoming speaking events in order to get down there. Obviously, during the week, I can't get down there because of my new responsibilities. But I will be getting down there really, really soon so I can plan and organize with them. Now, one thing that I want to speak on, Ms. Blue, and that is the fact that we have to understand that there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And in warfare, every strength becomes a weakness, and every weakness becomes a strength.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? We know that the dominant American society, the white people of this country, are not going to get behind a movement to stop black males from being assassinated and to bring black people into equality with white. They're never going to do that because all white people are racist. All white people practice white supremacy. I didn't say all white people are nasty. I didn't say all white people are disrespectful. I said all white people are racist, and they all practice white supremacy. There's a difference. One is a way of life. The other is the attitude. Black people need to stop focusing on the attitudes that white people have and focus more on the way of life that they live. White supremacy is in the lifestyle, not in the attitude. But because we know this, because we know we're not going to get support from them, because we never have when it came to equality, we have to look for other ways to challenge the United States government to force a change in the way in which we're being treated, to stop the assassination of black people, and not just males. One of my employees today at school showed me, one of my staff, a video of a black woman being beat like an animal by a white police officer. It hurt me so much that I couldn't even watch it. It was on the highway, and there was a black woman, and he was on her and punching her. Nobody stopped. None of the black guys driving by stopped. I mean, if I would have saw that, I probably would be dead because you are not going to beat down no black woman in front of my face. I don't care if you're a police officer or not. They are out of control. Police are out of control. And Mrs. Blue, what everyone needs to understand is we are partly responsible for them being out of control because we haven't pushed back. When Trayvon was murdered, no pushback. When the brother in Florida was murdered, no pushback. Mm-hmm. In fact, this pushback in Ferguson is one of the first we've seen since Rodney King. One of the first we've seen since Rodney King. There has to be pushback. Now, we know that we don't have the military capability to go to war with the United States government. We also understand, those of us who study military science, we know that going to war without sufficient military resources while living in the land dominated by your oppressor is only going to lead to extermination. We understand that. So if we don't have the military weaponry and we don't have a safe place of retreat, how in the hell do we stop the government or at least force them to think about what they're doing or make them change their course of affairs as it relates to the treatment of black people? There's a couple things. Number one, the riot, the unrest like we see in Ferguson, it was a good attention getter, but that's all it is an attention getter. It has to be prolonged in order for us to really make a statement. Revolution is a process. It is not an event. So what are you saying, Dr. Johnson? I'm saying, Ms. Blue, that we have to look at other weapons that we can use to bring force to bear against the United States government. Well, we know we can use our economic resources. It is time for an all-out permanent boycott, not a temporary boycott. A temporary boycott is hypocritical because a temporary boycott says, I know you're racist, but I'm going to stop giving you your money, stop giving you our money until you stop showing me that you're racist. That doesn't make any sense to me. You already know
Right.
you shouldn't be giving white people your money. So to temporarily withhold your money until they stop doing something doesn't make any sense, because you shouldn't be giving them your money anyway. So we need a permanent boycott where we withdraw our resources from all non-African entities and use that money to begin the process of internal reparations, infrastructure development, and institution building. So we need a permanent boycott. It is time for blacks to withdraw their money from all non-black sources. That right there really shows that you're upset with the assassination of black boys. That right there really shows that there's a changing of the thought process in black America.
Right.
But we don't have to stop there. We don't have to stop there. Okay? Some of our brothers and sisters would say, well, I'm homeless. I ain't got no money to stop spending because I'm barely making ends meet. So what do you suggest we do? What we have to do, Mrs. Blue, in the art of war, you want to turn the enemy against himself. What that means is this. We will never get white folks of America to back us in a full equality movement and to stop the extermination of black males movement. That will never happen. But we can turn them against each other, not for the sake of black people, but for the sake of their own lifestyle and convenience. What am I talking about? Imagine for a moment, Miss Blue, that everyone in the city of Houston, every white person, woke up, came outside, and everyone's tires were flat on their car. Yes, they could afford to buy 4 new tires. But 3 million people, all needing 4 tires, the next day is going to cause a significant shutdown in the economic order of any city, because no one has that amount of tires to replace that quickly. In other words, Ms. Blue, we have to inconvenience the enemy consistently and with different strategies, so white folks get so tired of being ticked off by blacks that they go to the government and say, cut this shit out. We don't like these blacks any more than you do, but we're getting sick and tired of our lives being inconvenienced. Imagine, Ms. Blue, every white person in New York City wake up and go to open up their front door, and it doesn't open because it's been crazy glued shut. That's not a major life catastrophe, is it? Of course not.
Right,
but
right.
when it happens to 2 million people and they all have to get their doors replaced, or they have to get somebody to come out to open the door because they can't get out, that causes a problem. Imagine if the electricity in every supermarket, in every major city, was cut off at night without nobody knowing it, and all the owners of the supermarkets came to the store the next day to see that all of their poultry, all of their beef, all of their fish, all of their perishable goods, milk, and etc. has spoiled. You're talking about $2 million worth of inventory per store destroyed overnight.
Right.
I'm saying, Ms. Blue, and there's other strategies. These are just light ones. There's others that I couldn't even mention during the course of this interview. But we have to sabotage the quality of life of white folks in America, and that they know that it's us doing it, so it's no secret on why this is being done. If you want your quality of life back, then you need to put pressure on your government to make some changes. Put pressure on your government to improve the schools. Put pressure on your government to put black people to work. Put pressure on your government to stop the police brutality. Miss Blue, we can win a war against the United States government without bombs and guns. Yes, we can. By turning the American people against their own government, by sabotaging the hell out of their way of life. Imagine, Mrs. Blue, if every public transportation bus in Los Angeles, Detroit, Chicago, collectively or city by city, could not run one day because there was sugar, 5 to 25 pounds of it, put in every single public transportation bus in every major city. Do you know what would happen if public transportation does not work? You will shut down the economic process of those cities. Do you imagine what would happen if black men occupied the most frequently and busiest bridges in America? Do you know what would happen if the Golden Gate Bridge was occupied by black men? What we do is we go to the bridge at the time of the lowest point in traffic, which is normally between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. And between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., black men fill up the Golden Gate Bridge. No cars can make it on there, not even a police van. We do the same thing for the George Washington Bridge, one of the most frequently traveled bridges in the world. We do the same thing for the Brooklyn Bridge. We do the same thing for the Benjamin Franklin Bridge that takes Philadelphians to Jersey, in New Jersey, people to Philadelphia. Miss Blue, we have so many tactics that can bring America to its knees without a gun or a bomb. Now, does that mean some of us are not going to go to jail? Of course. Does that mean some of us are not going to be beat almost to the point of death? Of course. Does it mean some of us may not be shot? Some of us may die for this. There's always bloodshed with redemption. Of course. But the message you would send, if we cripple American society, for 30 consecutive days, Mrs. Blue, we may never have to go through this hell again for a very long time. Remember what the Mexicans did in L.A. They all boycotted work for one day, and they blockaded one of the biggest intersections in that city for one day, and look at the effect it had on the economy. We're talking about 30 days. 30 intense days of sabotage of the American way of life without causing loss of life to anybody whatsoever. But by sabotaging their way of life, we can bring this country to its knees and get our justice. That is what black men need to be doing. That is what we need to be planning. And that's why I'm working on an international black male conference that I need to put together really, really quickly, because time is of the essence, so we can plot and plan and strategize. The location is going to be kept secret because it's going to be grassroots, and we don't want any agents, informants, bourgeoisie, or questionable folk from the conscious community involved in this. Not that everyone in the conscious community is questionable, but there's certain personalities I do not want involved in anything that could potentially lead to me losing my life or my freedom. So, brothers, it is coming into fruition. It will be passed by word of mouth. And when you hear about it from word of mouth, there will be no flies. You need to show up. If you're serious about bringing justice to our people, some of y'all always talking about glory, you want to make history, we're going to give you an opportunity to make history. We're going to bring America to its knees without taking a single life.
Dr. Umar, you guys, you heard that, brother. Definitely want to have the brothers to come on the line to hear about that and to talk about just what's going on, because really, truth be told, from where you've traveled, and you've traveled all over the world, people beyond up, or do you think that people are just settling?
Ferguson has breathed new life into black America. It really has. Yes. It really has. Because a lot of black folk, a lot of our African people begin to think that we have given up. And a lot of us have, Mrs. Blue. Remember, we're celebrating 150 years out of slavery next December of 2015. Yes. And I think black people have been through so much, Ms. Blue. We've been through so much collectively that a lot of us are beginning to lose our will to fight. And so I have to thank all the brothers and sisters in Ferguson, because what they showed us is that we can't quit. What they showed us is that revolt and defiance still matters. What they showed us as a small town, if we can do it, y'all can do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean going around burning things up, okay? But it definitely does mean sabotage. It does mean that. And you have to understand what they're doing in Ferguson, without question, has sabotaged the economic system in that city. Gas stations can't open up. Supermarkets can't open up. They brought the economic order to a halt in that city. And that's one of the reasons when I was watching the mayor on the news yesterday of Ferguson, while I was in New Haven. I spoke in New Haven, Connecticut last night for the first time. Shout out to the brothers and sisters in New Haven. And I watched the mayor. One of the reasons why he chose a more moderate, friendly approach as opposed to the hard-nosed tactic in his delivery is because the businesses in Ferguson, I believe, made it clear to the mayor, don't you incite these black people anymore. We've lost enough money over the past week. If you try to strong-arm them, they're going to fight back, because if you ain't paying attention, they have already made up their mind that they ain't taking this shit no more. And so the mayor had to try a different tactic, not because he wants to appease us, but the businesses are losing money. And when the businesses lose money, the city loses taxes and revenue. And they can't afford to be doing that, especially in these economically devastating times. So everyone needs to take a page out of the Ferguson book. Yes, we need to be a little bit more strategic. Yes, it needs to be better organized. Yes, it needs to have better leadership. But we still have to honor the fact that they did something instead of going home to think about it. They fought the system. They stood up and made a stand, something we didn't even do for Trayvon. So I honor them. Although things could have been better on the tactical end and the strategic end, I would say to that, Ms. Blue, it ain't over. It's not over down there. And I'm hoping the brothers and sisters, and once I get down there, if I get down there before the momentum is lost, I want to talk to them about how we can roll this over into some serious economical and political gains. You can get people out of office with this momentum. You can get jobs with this momentum. You can change gentrification with this momentum. You can do something about the criminal laws with this momentum. You can do something about police brutality with this momentum. So don't just react emotionally, but put demands to this. We will stop when we get X. We will stop when we get Y. We will stop when we get Z. Don't stop just because they named the officer who killed our brother. You don't just stop on that. Don't stop because they decide to arrest him like they did Zimmerman way after the fact. Don't stop for that. Don't stop even if he is found guilty. Don't stop even if he's sentenced. Your revolt is not just about the life of one African. We've lost hundreds, and we're due to lose hundreds more. And outside of the loss of life, look at the loss of quality of life, the inability of black people to enjoy their lives. So don't stop just because you feel justice was served to our brothers whose life was taken. Yes, he was the catalyst. Emmett Till was the catalyst for the civil rights struggle. But they didn't stop, even though those men weren't found guilty. Even if they were found guilty, they wasn't going to stop there, because that was just the catalyst. He was the symbol. It's bigger than that. I need our brothers and sisters in Ferguson, Missouri, to tie their revolt to outcomes, measurable outcomes and demands that the city and the state and the feds have to meet in order for the defiance to stop. Do not stop the defiance, Ferguson, until you get some tangible results that mean something to our people.
Yes, yes. Dr. Umar, you guys here live. Dr. Umar, I do want to ask a question, because earlier you talked about a video that was sent to you. And I really want to kind of pose this question out there to the brothers. And you said, you know, there was a black woman and she was being beaten and there was no black men to come to the rescue. I understand about this Ferguson case and that they have taken a stand. Really, I want you to really talk to the brothers about what is the likelihood do you think that you could even rally enough brothers to pull off movement?
I believe, Mrs. Blue, we at a point where black men and black women and black children, all of us, because we're all marked for death. We're all marked for death. We have to start traveling in groups as much as possible. Obviously, we have to go to work, and there's things you have to do on your own, like go to the doctors and that kind of thing. But to the fullest extent possible, especially after hours, although our brother was shot down in broad daylight, but especially after hours when police can really operate under the cover of darkness, we need to try to be at least 2 or 3 strong, at least as much as we can. Why is that important? Because if that sister who got beat down by that cop wasn't by herself, it would have been harder for him to do that. You see, a lot of these beatings, a lot of these, the brother in New York who was choked to death, you know, we need other people with us who are willing to fight and die to preserve African life. Being by yourself leaves you vulnerable. Our elders need to be grouped together with youth. Our youth need to be grouped together with other youth. We have to understand we are at war, and we have to conduct ourselves the same way you conduct yourself at war. You don't go outside without a weapon, something you can defend yourself. You don't go certain places alone. You study the terrain before you go out. Is it worth it for you to take public transportation this time of night? Is it worth it for you to drive your car this time of night knowing what's out there? One of the reasons I stayed in New Haven until the morning, I drove from New Haven, Connecticut to Central PA today, almost a 5-hour ride, because I didn't want to risk driving on the highway with them knowing who I am, because everything is under surveillance, and them stopping me at 2, 3, 4 in the morning with nobody around. I had to take my status as it relates to what I represent for the people into account, and so I had to go ahead and suck it up and leave early in the morning, because that's the price of struggle. And we need everybody to be a little bit more conscious. Every single black person. You ain't got to be no speaker. You ain't got to be no Pan-Africanist. Every black person is marked for death, and we got to be more careful. Our children need to travel in gangs. We need to travel with something that we can use in case somebody tries to offend one of us, especially our women and our children. The United States government, by way of its police, have declared war on blacks. They've been done that. When slavery started, they declared war on black folks. That's nothing new. The only thing that's changed, Mrs. Blue, is that they are reverting back to their overt war. Remember, from slavery until Jim Crow, or from slavery to civil rights, it was an overt war. They did not care. They will beat you down in the middle of the street, didn't care. From civil rights until Obama, the police brutality and the white oppression became covert. It was done when nobody was looking. It was done in a concealed fashion. Under Obama, because he doesn't have any courage or concern for black people, the oppression has become overt again. They're not hiding it anymore. It is in your face, and they don't care who sees it. And because they have stepped up their aggression, we have to step up ours as well. It's time to stand up and die for what we believe in. It's time for that. It's time, and I normally don't talk like this. I choose my words very carefully, as you know, but it's time for one of us, when we get into a fight with one of these police, to take that damn weapon and blow its goddamn brains out. And I say that in honor of every black man, woman, and child who have been beaten or murdered by police. It's that time, Ms. Blue. We need more examples, more than Ferguson. We need examples of black defiance, because with every example of black defiance, it forces all other black people to take a chance too. Ferguson is getting us out of our comfort zone a bit. With Ferguson, we got a little bit more courage. But guess what? We're going to need a few more examples of black defiance to rally everyone else. Let's go back to slavery. When the Haitian Revolution took place in 1791, when Bookman and Toussaint and Christophe and Dessalines, when they rose up and did what they did, even before the war was over, because it lasted a while. They didn't get it to 2013. It lasted a while, or 2012. It lasted a while. But it inspired Nat Turner. It inspired Gabriel Prosser. It inspired Denmark Vesey. It inspired Frederick Douglass. It inspired Harriet Tubman. That one act, even if they were unsuccessful, and they ended up being successful, inspired so many others to act. So we have to understand that courage has a very addictive quality to it. And through courage, we can inspire our people to stand up and stop taking this nonsense. But we must stand together. And we cannot let the black bourgeoisie convince us to stand down, because that's what they're trying to do to blacks in Ferguson. They had a Negro on the news. He was one of the elected officials talking about we need to calm down and settle down and we're all Americans and all this garbage. And then Obama came on, being the coward he is, and he basically reiterated the same stuff. We have to follow the laws and this and that or whatever, but it's still not acceptable for police to shoot down innocent children. Okay, but what are you going to do about it, Obama? What are you going to do about it? That cop who shot that brother in Ferguson, he hasn't even been arrested. He hasn't even been, just like George Zimmerman, hasn't even been arrested. And you didn't even push for his arrest, Obama. So I want everybody to be clear. Your president of the United States, who a lot of y'all thought was Jesus Christ coming back again, has stood by, has co-signed, has endorsed, and hasn't done a goddamn thing about the murder of black people at the hands of these crooked-ass cops. Obama has done nothing. And I want everyone listening to know tonight that if I catch any one of y'all celebrating that man, I will never speak to you again another day in my life. I don't want to hear another Negro defend Obama regarding nothing. I don't want to hear it. If you celebrate him, I will never talk to you again because he's part of the reason this is going. Yes, he doesn't run the government alone. We know that. Yes, he doesn't make the decisions. But guess what? He doesn't have to run the government. He doesn't have to make decisions. All he has to do is use the one thing that he does control, his voice, and say that this shit ain't right, using his political jargon. This is not acceptable. African-American males are Americans too. Of course, we know we're not, but he should give voice to this. Just by giving voice to this, that triggers a certain type of energy for things to change on some level on the local scene. He won't even do that.
Dr. Umar, everyone here live in the remix. We're going to go to the phone lines because the phone lines are blowing up and so many questions are coming in, so many comments, lots of activity in the chat room. So we're going to go here having this discussion, speaking about the war against black males, but really the war against black people, period. So we're going to go to the phone line. Some international questions coming in as well, Dr. Umar, and talking about some of those things that are happening in other countries. You guys get on the phone line. 646-652-2711 is the number to call. Press 1 once you get on the phone line. If you're calling from an international number, make sure you dial the U.S. country code and then 646-652-2711. Just got to check in. Ferguson is listening. In St. Louis. They are listening to the show tonight. So thank you for the shout out on Twitter. We're going to go to the phone lines. Calling in from area code 202. You're live. You're live. 202. 202. You're live. Yeah, they have it on speaker. We'll go to the next caller. Make sure you guys take it off the speaker if you're listening in the chat room and on the phone. Calling in from area code 773. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello, my name is Shawanda, and I'm calling from Michigan.
Okay.
I'm just really disgusted with the situation that's going on. I try to catch Dr. Umar. Hello. As much as I can. I have I have a question. Do you think that what's happening in Ferguson, I've been following news and alternative news, and it seems to me that white Americans are a little bit nervous about this situation. That's more of a comment, not a question. My question is, do you think that African Americans are coming to the point where what's the word that I'm looking for? The infatuation or love for Obama is coming to an end? And do you also think, just you can incorporate it in your conversation, as you go on, do you think there will be an election? Do you think we will get this man out of office anytime soon? That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, as it relates to the masses of black people in this country and around the world, I believe that a lot of black people are beginning to realize that Obama was a big lie. Bourgeois Negroes are not going to change their position, not because they don't know that Obama is a fraud, but they stand to gain from him being there, and they stand to gain from protecting him, you see. And so bourgeois Negroes are going to continue to champion Obama because he's helped some of them get some of the crumbs from master's table. But for the masses of black people who are out here struggling, and I'm hearing the conversation as I travel from city to city, a lot of black people are beginning to fall out of love with President Obama. And I'll just go back to predictions I made on the radio before he got elected. I knew that Obama would be exactly what Obama is. I made those predictions because I understand white supremacy. And so I'm not shocked at all. I'm not shocked at all. But I am glad that our people are beginning to wake up. As far as getting him out of office, we don't elect presidents. No one elects presidents. They're appointed.
Right.
He only has 2 years to go. And another reason why we really need to get organized is because once Obama is gone, they're going to put someone else in that office who is going to definitely take black people back to an age almost as worse as slavery. So whether that's Hillary Clinton, whether that's Governor Christie, I don't know who's coming in, but that next president is going to have an agenda to intensify the extermination campaign against black people. So we're basically down, although we're at war now, we're down to about 24 months until the war really kicks in. And we need to get ready for that.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. I mean, is President Obama, is he really the problem? Because these problems have been going on. Is that just sort of a distraction?
Obama himself is a distraction, but we also got to be very, very clear. And when you study black elected officials, it's common knowledge statistically that when they go into office, things get worse for black people. You've only had a couple, Harold Washington, and a few other mayors and governors and lieutenant governors and congressmen, Adam Clayton Powell, who actually went into office and made things better for black people. But you can count them on your hand. Most of the time, white folks put black people in office because they know with a black face, they're able to operate more effectively because they have an alibi. And the alibi is the man in charge is black. Although we know he's not in charge. He's just a figurehead. So Obama's responsibility is not that he created this problem. His responsibility is that he allowed it to get worse on his watch without doing anything for it. You can't fault him for police brutality. It's been here. You can't fault him for unemployment. It's been here. You can't fault him for poor schools. It's been here. We're not faulting him because he didn't stop the problem. I want to be very clear to the Obama maniacs who may be listening. We do not fault him for stopping the problem. We fault him for not containing it. We fault him for going all around the world telling other people how not to violate people's human rights when they're being violated right down the street from where he sleeps at night. Yes. That is a hypocrite. And I don't care how you want to protect him. He could have done better, Ms. Blue. He could have done a little bit better than what he's done protecting black people. It is not acceptable, especially when you compare his protection or lack thereof of African people with the way he has bent over backwards to kiss the ass of the homosexual community, kiss the ass of the white female community, and kiss the ass of the Latino community. That is not acceptable behavior. To do all that for people who don't look nothing like you and don't care about you, and then to ignore your own, it's not acceptable.
Yes, I think on that note, we all could do better. Yes, very well said. Let's go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 704. You're live in the remix. Please tell who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello?
704. Yes, hello, Green.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hello, greetings. We're going to get back to them. We'll go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 215. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hi, yes. Hi, Mrs. Blue. This is Felicia Gibson. Hi, Dr. Umar. How you doing? I'm calling because basically early today, I was listening to a radio station in Chicago, Illinois, WVON, and they had a preacher on the station. He was stating that the black community needs to try to work things out with the police. I guess, to try to develop a better relationship with the police. Now, given the fact of history and how that black people have interacted with the police over time, I wondered to myself, is it possible for black people, for the black community to have a better relationship, to build a better relationship with the police? That's number one. Then also they stated how now that because Chicago is having such a high crime situation going on, that the FBI is sending like 65 agents to help out. And also they're increasing the number of state troopers. Now, looking at how the CIA brought the crack cocaine into our neighborhoods during the 80s,
is a good idea for us to have, at least us for the black community, to allow another government agency to come in and police our community, basically open us up again to something that may occur like what happened in Ferguson?
Well, also, the Army has sent the Ferguson Police District, I believe it was 65 Humvees, military multi-purpose vehicles, are now on the ground in Ferguson. If we look at what's happening, they are slowly ushering in martial law as we watch. They're bringing it to Ferguson. The mayor announced yesterday on the news that the local police would no longer be responsible for riot control, that it was now being turned over to the county and to the state troopers. Why is that? Because with the county and the state troopers, they're more likely to use excessive force than the local police, although the local police are brutal. When you deal with the state troopers in the county, you know that they're basically coming in to shoot as well as to kill. In Chicago, there is no riot. There's mass murder, but there is no riot. So why are they bringing them in there? Because they want to go ahead and fuel the fire. We know for a fact, it was even reported in the newspaper in Chicago, that the police are aggravating the violence by providing weapons to the locals. They said the police are leaving guns on trains in Chicago. And I actually read this in a newspaper article, okay? It made the news that the police in Chicago are leaving guns, that the police is the biggest gang in Chicago, that the police are behind a lot of these murders, not to mention all the black people who are being murdered for organ trafficking. So black people need to be conscious of what's happening. They are slowly ushering in martial law. Slowly but surely, it's coming anyway. It's coming to the whole country. But they're going to start with us. And that's why whatever we do, we got to be very smart about it. And that's why my campaign for sabotage, to cripple the government, might be a little bit safer for African life than to wage an all-out military assault. You won't win that. You will not win that. You do not have a military supply. There has never been a war waged by an outside force occupying the land of another, possessing inferior military power, who came out victorious. So I'm all for fighting. I'm all for military combat, but I'm also not for recklessness. And so we have to be very careful when we start telling people to go out here and just start fighting white folks without any type of strategy and without any type of vision or without any type of game plan. But without question, we are about to enter, I would say, Mrs. Blue, 2014 is the first of about a decade of hell that black people are about to catch. And the only way we can slow down this hell is to create some hell for our oppressor. We're going to have to do it. My ancestor, Frederick Douglass, said, what if there is no struggle, there is no progress? He said, people want rain, but they don't want to deal with the thunder. What is he saying? People want the ocean, but they don't want to deal with the roar of the waves. Frederick is saying, you're not going to get no peace. You're not going to get no freedom unless you sacrifice something. Jomo Kenyatta said what? He said the tree of freedom. The tree of freedom is not watered with water. The tree of freedom is nurtured with blood. He said blood must be shed for the tree of freedom to go. That's Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya. You see. So I want people to understand that this is not going to be something convenient. Even though we can go at it in a way that doesn't necessarily cause loss of life, there's still going to be sacrifices taken, and some of us may lose our lives. And we also have to understand that it may be time for black men to occupy the White House. You can't get in the White House gate, but it's time for every last one of us to go down there, T-shirts, placards, bullhorns, every black man in America, well, not everyone, because we need some of them to stay back and protect the women and children. But we need to surround that White House, put the international media on it, and let them know exactly what we think of Obama. Black people have not yet came out publicly against that president, and it's time to do it. We cannot wait 2 more years. How many more black boys will be murdered? How many more black women will be beat by police? 24 more months in office? We should just sit by and let them walk out?
No. The world needs to know that Black America doesn't support Obama because he is nothing but a weapon of white supremacy. It is time to make that known. We cannot wait, Miss Blue. There is no tomorrow. They have waged war on us, and it's only going to get worse. And the other thing Black people need to understand, like as Felicia said, one of the clergymen in Chicago is urging Black people to come to an agreement with the police. How in the hell can you come to an agreement with the agency responsible for exterminating you? You don't come to an agreement with your oppressor. The relationship between Black people and white people is a power dynamic, Mrs. Blue. It's a power dynamic. And that power dynamic hasn't shifted one iota since slavery. The power dynamic hasn't changed a centimeter since slavery. The whites are in control and the blacks are not. If you want to stop the violence, you have to do something about the power dynamic, not the relationship, because there is no relationship. It's about power. Get some. Flex your muscle. This world is run on the principles of gangsterism. I'm a student of history. I'm a student of military science. How was Africa taken? With law and policies? Africa was taken with gangster tactics. How was Gaddafi murdered? With gangster tactics. How was America taken from the Native Africans and the Native Americans? With gangster tactics. Everything that is done in the world is done through what? Gangster tactics. How did the British take Ireland? With gangster tactics.
Yes.
How did America bomb Japanese? With gangster tactics. This is about brute force and power. Marcus Garvey taught us that. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we're celebrating him in such a transitional and controversial year for Black people. Because Marcus Garvey is talking to us in the whirlwind. Stand up, Black man. Stick your chest out and let your voice be heard. If we are to die, it will be on our feet and we will not be quiet.
Shay, beautiful. We're going to go to the next caller. Calling in for area code 786. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Hello, greetings. Yes, who's on the line?
This is Etana. I'm calling from Miami. I want to say peace and blessings to you, Miss Blue, and peace and blessings to Brother Umar Johnson.
Yes.
He's doing a wonderful job. I live here in Miami, but I'm originally from St. Louis. And I never thought that the people in St. Louis standing up were basically the first ones that have stood up since Rodney King incident. And I always have thought that the best way for us to hurt this system was through economics. This is how Rosa Parks sparked the movement in Montgomery by boycotting the bus. And this almost put the bus service out of business. And we are people that are spending over $1 trillion. So why can't we use our economic power to get what we want?
It's time for an African American, for lack of a better word, human rights movement. We've had the African American civil rights movement. It's time for an African American human rights movement. When we bring back some of the tactics from the past, but also improve upon those for the present, I definitely think we can use our economic strength. Obviously, our economic power is our greatest weapon of sabotage and our greatest weapon of development. But here's what I believe. I still believe that Black folks, even though we're in a state of crisis, are still so much in love with the garbage that white folks make. We're still in love with the hair of the Koreans. We're still in love with the clothing. I don't think we can go straight to the economic boycott. I think the economic boycott is something that you have to grow into. I think you have to have a series of successive, smaller victories that lead up to that, because the economic boycott is going to require more discipline. The economic boycott is going to require more restraint. The economic boycott is going to require more forbearance, and the economic boycott is going to require more inconvenience than anything else we do. So I do not think that is level 1. That's more like a level 4 or level 5. I do believe we work towards it. I do believe it is the goal because it is the final frontier. But I think we have to have a series of smaller, successive victories to build up the momentum towards the economic boycott. I don't think we can start there, even in the condition we're in. Remember, Ferguson is standing up. Most other cities are not. Okay? And because of that, we have to be very, very realistic in our approach to struggle. Of course, I want to jump right out there with the economic boycott, but our people ain't committed enough of that yet. We have to give them proof that we can win and then go to the economic boycott. That's a stage 4, not a stage 1.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for calling in, and hold the line for us. We're going to go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 404. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hey, I want to make sure it's me. Is it a 398 number or no?
We can hear you, 404. Who's on the line, please?
Hey, this is Mecca Sane. Your...
Greetings, Mecca. Yes, we can.
Hey, how are you? Greetings to everybody. Really, I really don't have any questions. I actually just want to find out the best way that a person can add to exactly the ideologies that you have, because personal stuff. I've been spent 7 years in the military, spent 4 months in SEAL training, was a naval officer. Much of the same things in the same ways that I've come up with conclusions are very much the same. And so there's just a certain body of information that I would just like to be able to add to and see if it's something that can be used, in a way that strengthens what we're talking about. Because when we look at the people still give power to the people who know those areas, the ability to have an all-encompassing solution. And so the only way that any person can do that is really give them the big picture to understand how to apply principles that will give them absolute results in a way that may work in Texas but won't work in Chicago. It may work in Atlanta, but it won't work in California. And so some of those exact same things resonate as you were talking about it. And I just wanted to find out, because I don't like to go into too much detail about those exact same things, but it's the war of the fleet. And so in that particular case, I would just like to find out, how does a person take some of their research or their anything that they've collected as far as what can be a real solution towards it and get it to you and reverberate with you to see how you can work with different folks.
No problem, my brother. I'll be very interested in having that conversation with you offline, because, as you said, some things will definitely have to be discussed in private. And so please reach out to me after the show. My phone number for all the listeners is area code 215-989-9858. Again, that's 215-989-9858. You can also get with me on email, Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com. You can also message me on WhatsApp, okay, under Dr. Umar Johnson, or the 215-989-9858 area code. I also want to remind everyone to sign up for my text message club. It is a free service that I pay for that allows me to send you occasional messages to keep you posted with what I'm doing. So you can do that by opening up a fresh text message on your cell phone, and you want to text my name, Dr. Umar, D-R-U-M-A-R, in all capitals, without a period and without a space. Dr. Umar in all capitals, and you want to text Dr. Umar to 36,000, 36000. Text Dr. Umar to 36,000 to be enrolled in the text message club, and you get occasional regular updates. But for consistent updates, definitely Twitter and Facebook is the place to be to stay in touch with what I'm doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's the only thing that I wanted to find out is because in some of the research that I put together is that all of the things that you're talking about, I'm sure you probably already know this, but it's basic laws in thermodynamics and ma'at, or what we call the justice, or how we bring a lot of different things with different resources together in order to work as efficiently together as they possibly can and expel the things that slows down their efficiency, is what we call ma'at. And thermodynamics has exactly the same principle. And so there's just a few things that's based off of that actually encapsulate everything that we see, no matter what country we're in. And I think that the only way that we're going to be able to apply these things is that we allow ourselves to have an answer for everybody, no matter where you are. You know, given the fact that I personally think that the only way that we actually fix the problems of the world is that when we act, because we're the ones that strengthen the arms that's controlling all the other shit, excuse my language, in other avenues and other theaters of the world. So it just follows that line. So I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what I will get in contact with you about, and then you can see if it's valid or something that you would want to work more with.
No problem, my brother. I'm with you. Looking forward to that conversation.
All right. Cool. Peace and blessings,
Thank
Mecca.
you, Ms. Blue. Thank you,
You're welcome,
Dr.
Mecca. All
right.
Beautiful. We're going to go to the next caller, still speaking with Dr. Umar here. The next caller calling in from area code 203. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, greetings. 203. You're kind of breaking up. I can't really hear you. If you have us on speaker, please take us off.
Can you hear me? I'm not in speaker. My name is Norma.
There you go. Okay, Norma.
I'm calling from Connecticut.
Okay, greetings.
Actually, I just tuned in to you, so I don't know what your topic is. I really didn't expect to be called on.
Okay,
well, apologize.
That's all right, Norma. Your hand was up, so I will place you back on hold because I'm sure you're listening. All right? Peace and love.
Sure.
All right, beautiful. Let's go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 773. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Yes, how you doing? This is Eric. I'm calling in from Chicago. Peace to you, Brother Umar. Peace to you, Ms. Blue.
Peace to you, Eric.
I really don't have a question. I just wanted to make a statement that I felt would be important to the Mike Brown case, and that's the lawyer, Crump. It's the same lawyer that represented Trayvon Martin in the Trayvon Martin case. And I don't have anything against that brother at all. But I do feel, this is my personal opinion, that if you follow the Trayvon Martin trial, you would realize and recognize that he was kind of a weak lawyer. He wasn't aggressive. I feel he was a little bit complacent in his arguments. He didn't have that oomph about himself that I felt Sabrina and Tracy Martin needed, to bring justice to their son. And for him to jump on the case, of Mike Brown, representing, of the parents of Mike Brown, I just feel personally that the minute that he did that, he immediately created a black versus white situation, meaning that immediately the media is going to look to it and say, well, it's already a black and white issue, Now you have a black lawyer representing a black family. Now you have a white officer with a predominantly white police department 9 times out of 10, majority of the jury is going to be white. Then you have a white judge. It's just going to be a black on white issue, and I just don't think that's good. And my personal opinion, my point is that I think Attorney Crump, if he's going to represent the Browns in this case, he should have more emphasis and more input and be a little bit more firm and have some type of passion about his argument. What are your views on that?
I can't argue with that. I actually met the attorney 2012 when I was asked to facilitate a panel at the 2012 Urban League Conference in New Orleans the day before I earned my doctorate degree. And so I had a chance to talk with the lawyer then, and intelligent brother, but I would agree with you. I really didn't feel he had the eye of the tiger. I really didn't feel that. I really didn't feel, that he was in this for the people. Not saying that he wasn't in it for justice for Trayvon, but I really didn't get that type of alpha male energy that I felt would be needed to kind of force the wheels of justice to act in our favor. I didn't pick that up from him. I thought that they needed someone with a little bit more grit, someone with a little bit more doggedness, based off his disposition and personality. Good brother, knowledgeable, but I just feel he didn't have the right energy for a case of that magnitude. I would have to agree with you. And I met him face to face. We had a conversation. Right.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother Corey Hollister earlier about the same situation, and I just we follow these black issues in America because we black ourselves. We 37, 40 years old. We got kids and wives and things of that nature, man, and we work hard and we good citizens. I mean, we all stole stuff from stores and we Mike Brown's age, and we did devious things, man. But if you allow a child to grow, and allow a child to not feel like he's a victim of his community, eventually he'll grow out of that because let's not forget he's a 17-year-old immature child, and I just think it's a terrible thing, man. I think the media is going to eat up the fact that he had that picture, with the hand, the firearm, and the money in his mouth, and now they had this surveillance video of him, allegedly strong arm robbing the store, or whatever. I think that the young black men in America need to realize what they do, the pictures that they take, and the videos that they put on social media, it can come back and it can bite them in their rear end. And I think we need to address this to our young black boys and young black girls to realize whatever you do now, we didn't worry about. We didn't have to worry about this when we were younger because we didn't have social media and things like that, and everything wasn't being recorded, when we were coming up. But now you taking pictures and people taking pictures of you don't realize it, and they're putting it on social media, and that image, your image, can be, portrayed as you being a villain or you being a thug in the street, just like they're going to do to Mike Brown, and I'm upset about that,
I think you bring out a really good point. Excellent point that we all need to think about and that we need to, contemplate on. I think there's a lot of different perspectives and aspects of this case and other cases that are likely to follow that we really have to digest and deal with in depth. No question about it. I would just say that in the final analysis, though, it comes down to a contest of willpower and a contest of might and a contest of strength politically and economically and possibly even physically. And black folks need to understand that. You're not going, white people have fought too long and too hard to get where they are, to give it up just because somebody asks for it. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to take it. There's going to be a clash at some point between us and them. It's unavoidable. There's already a clash. Only problem is we're not fighting back. There's already a clash. But I think we need to really, really understand the time of day we're living in because it's a dangerous one. But I think it's also dangerously necessary. And I believe behind all of this chaos and behind all this death
and negativity is the universe giving us an opportunity to stand up and take back our rightful place in world affairs. I totally believe that. And I just hope that black people don't fumble the ball and miss their opportunity because they couldn't read the signs of the times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that will conclude my statement and my views on the issue. Dr. Umar, Ms. Blue, I give both of you nothing but the utmost respect. Dr. Umar, I follow you. Ms. Blue, I'm just now getting in tune with you due to my brother Corey Hollister putting me in tune with you. And now I've heard a few sessions that you had, and I mean, you've enlightened me on some things that I was blinded by. And Brother Umar, you already know, you just, you need to be on a national TV channel, man, and let the world hear you. I salute and I support everything you guys are doing. Dr. Umar, good luck with the school. I salute that, but believe me, brother, it's just like, I felt when Tupac, was coming out with his music, and I felt that he had a strong, possible push towards a revolution. I was willing to get behind him. I'm willing to get behind you too, brother. So I salute both of you all. Continue to do what you're doing, and I'm going to continue to listen.
Appreciate that. Thank you. You know what also, Ms. Blue, if I could, I would like to briefly let folks know where I'm going to be real quickly. So Sunday, August the 17th, we're in Fort Lauderdale for the Garvey celebration at the Lauderdale Lakes Library, 3 o'clock. That's the day after tomorrow, Fort Lauderdale. Then we're in Riviera Beach on the 19th for the Black Male Convention. And then we're in Miami the 22nd at Chroma Gallery, Miami again on Saturday the 23rd. And then I'll be in Texas speaking at a prison on Sunday the 7th of September, Akron, Ohio at the Second Baptist Church on September the 21st, Memphis, Tennessee at the University of Memphis. I will be speaking on behalf of the National Association of Black Journalists at the University of Memphis on September the 18th. And then I will be at Georgia Southern University in Savannah, Georgia on September the 20th for a Black Male Conference. And then I will be in Nassau, the Bahamas from the 23rd through the 26th. Jamaica, Queens, Kappa Alpha Psi State of the Black Male Conference. That's going to be on September the 27th. Sacramento, California, October 3rd and 4th. Newberry, South Carolina, October 11th and 12th. Los Angeles, California, for the Ebonics Conference at Charles Drew University. That will be November the 1st. Norfolk, Virginia, ASCAC, Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, ASCAC Regional Conference, November the 15th. I will be in Haiti, November the 20th through the 23rd. Elizabeth, New Jersey for Kwanzaa. Patterson, New Jersey for Kwanzaa. Greensboro, North Carolina. Jackson, Mississippi for Kwanzaa. I also have Holland coming up, London coming up, Cape Town, South Africa coming up.
Beautiful, beautiful. And know that you can keep in touch and find out exactly where Dr. Umar Johnson's going to be, or if you want him to come to a function for you, or connect through www.drumarjohnson.com. We're going to continue to go to the phone lines here. Just really, really much needed conversation here tonight. Let's go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 312. You're live in the ring. 312. It'll be a minute. They have us on speaker. They have the computer on. Let's go to 909. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Monteith Mallard, calling from Riverside, California. And I just wanted to say something. A lot of things that's been going on, I think a lot of people should be more wise about what they say, especially when a lot of things should be discussed in-house, like black-on-black crime. Black-on-black crime is prevalent, we know that. But, if you're not mentoring boys and mentoring girls in the community, I think that, you know, we shouldn't, you know, especially the ones who say that, we shouldn't be, you know, discussing that in front of other people. You know, we black people are the only people who air out our dirty laundry amongst other people, and I feel like, you know, it shouldn't be, right now, that shouldn't be one of the things that we should be, you know, discussing.
Okay. To that, I would say I largely agree, no question. But I would also say that some of us have to be the ones who discuss it so everyone else knows what's going on and what we need to be doing. Me personally being one of the persons who have been placed at the forefront of this, you know, I have volunteered to sacrifice whatever risk comes for speaking openly and honestly about what we need to be doing as a people. So I do agree with you that by and large most of us need not engage in that conversation publicly. But as far as I go, I'm sure everything about me and my life is being surveyed and under surveillance.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I've been guaranteed it. So for me, there's nothing I can do about it. It's going to happen regardless. I cannot conceal my intentions from the government because they're watching my every move. But I do agree with you that most of us need not do that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the only thing that I was pretty much saying. Like, you know, there should be, you know, places and times where we discuss our business amongst ourselves. And, you know, I just don't like when people get on social media and, you know, black on black crime, yada, yada, yada. I just really think that it's, you know, it's a waste of time because see other people piggyback that. You know what I'm saying? I just think that it's real deadly. You know, it just brings more devalue to the situation, to our lives, you know, as we, you know, trying to bring value back to it. You kind of understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yes, sir, brother. But that's all I have, brother. Peace and blessings. I mean, I met you a while ago when you came to Los Angeles, brother. Man, you're a real solid brother. I really appreciate what you do for the community, brother.
Thanks a lot, fam. Appreciate that.
Yes,
right.
Yes, sir, brother.
All
right.
Peace
out.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go to the next caller, calling in from area code 937. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Yes, my name is Brett, calling from Dayton.
Okay, greetings to you, Brett.
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings, Miss Blue. Peace and blessings, Brother Umar, as well. I just want to make a quick comment and brief question for Brother Umar. I actually do a radio show myself, and I was kind of conflicted tonight because I wanted to hear Brother Umar, and I had my show going on at the same time. But then I ran into technical difficulties, and I couldn't do my show tonight. So everything happens for a reason. So I'm glad that happened. I was able to call in on the show and listen in. But I was in the military in the 90s, and I can name the base and everything. And one of our trainings was up there for about a month or so. And this was in Virginia, as a matter of fact, up in the mountain area. And in between training one day, they pulled us out the mountain, and we went into this town. It was like an actual mock city or something, a little town up there. And they said, we're going to do training with state troopers in Virginia today. And we're all like, what? And, you know, it was my whole company, you know, part of my battalion and whatnot. So the parking lot was full of state troopers everywhere. So basically what we did was participate in a riot. We had to be the rioters, and all the state troopers in Virginia, who were hundreds of them there, basically were going to do riot control on us. So, you know, this just came as a shock. So basically we were out there throwing rocks. We were in this little mock city. There were buildings, everything. We're out there, you know, and it was serious too. They was smacking us with sticks, batons, everything. It was full go. And I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am back then. I was always conscious. What I knew back then when I took part in that training in the military, I was like, they doing this something. This is for a reason. Now I see the fruition of it and what's going on, and exactly as the brother said, how they're taking over the highway system going into Ferguson. All this stuff has been planned a long time ago up to this point. So with that being said, and I know exactly where Brother is going, what he's saying and what he's talking about, campaign. I also work in corporate America, and I'm always the only brother around the upper management. And I can feel in different places that the atmosphere is starting to change across this country. There's a little nerve. And so on the job tip, a lot of us going to lose our jobs behind this because of this nervousness. I feel the same way about us. I want to ask Brother Umar.
We're getting a lot of noise in the background there, and it's just kind of difficult to hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
I hope you were able to hear me.
Yes, okay. We could hear you and everything else too, but we just want to hear you.
Okay, right. Okay, so I just wanted to ask Brother Umar, have you thought about urban agriculture? Because from what you're saying and from where this thing is going, that's something that's going to be critical to be able to grow food in our cities and in our neighborhoods.
Well, yes, without question. I mean, agricultural science is one of the key tenets of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy curricular structure, so there won't be an issue or problem at all. We definitely plan to do that. The other thing that the brothers and sisters and I are planning, who went to Ghana a few weeks ago, is we're trying to purchase, and right there in Ghana, a little island separated from the mainland, so we can use that as a home for repatriation Africans who want to come back home, whether it's just to visit or whether it is to stay permanently. We have to consider some other places of residence outside of the United States. Marcus Garvey is amazing, again, going back to the fact we're celebrating his centennial this year, the birth of his movement. He told us that the future of the black man outside of Africa spelled disaster, and we're beginning to see that. Now, you ain't got to go to Africa, but you're going to have to go to Jamaica or Bermuda or the Bahamas or Suriname or some other black country, because we see what's happening here. And we can either do what we know is right now, or we can keep acting like we don't see what's happening. But the future isn't a good one. Nothing wrong with standing up and fighting for what you believe in. But then common sense has to kick in. And black people keep using the same old excuse for why we stay. That's because we were here first and we built this country. That's true, we were here first. It's true, we built the country. But we also was an African first, and we built that too. So stop making excuses. The bottom line is we're still in love with white people, and a lot of us don't think we can exist without them. And a lot of us lack the trailblazing attitude and initiative necessary to go into a country where you've never been and make a way for yourself. But that's exactly what the white man did when he came to America. He came to a place he'd never been and made a way for himself. If he can do that here, we can definitely do it back home in Africa or any other African-dominated country, whether it be in the Caribbean or Central South America. I just think we have to start thinking outside of the box. You cannot run from white supremacy. No matter where you live, white supremacy is there. But by living in a predominantly African country, it increases the likelihood that our programs will succeed, because we don't have to worry about competition or domination from white folk. So again, this is the time to think outside the box, consider strategies we haven't talked about in years, and consider other strategies that have never been discussed. We have to get more intelligent with our approach to revolutionary strategy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Really appreciate the words, brother. And I'm planning to go to Haiti, so hopefully I'll talk to you then. Peace.
All right.
Peace and blessings. Hold the line. All right. We're going to go to the next caller, calling in from area code 561. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hi, Miss Blue. Hi, Dr. Umar. My name's Ann, and I'm calling from West Palm Beach. I had a question for you because you mentioned that you were going to Riviera Beach on the 19th, and but you didn't mention like where exactly you were going to be, and you also said that it's going to be like for men only or like for brothers. Is it okay if me and my friend go? We're women, but is it strictly for men or?
Okay. The event on the 19th in Riviera Beach is going to primarily focus on
the boys, but anyone is welcome. So, yes, y'all more than welcome to come. Yeah. In fact, it's a two-part program. I'm sorry. Half of the day will be the conference with the boys, and the other half will be a community conversation with brothers and sisters such as yourself to talk about what we can do to support our black boys much better than what we're doing now. So, yes, there will be an opportunity for that dialogue.
All right. And where is it located exactly in Riviera?
This is what I want you to do. It's at one of the schools there, one of the high schools. This is what you can do. Take my cell number, and I want you to text me for the flyer. Just say, send me the flyer for Riviera Beach. Just send that to me in a text. And the number
send me the what for Riviera Beach?
Send you the flyer. Just say, can you please send me the flyer for Riviera Beach? Yeah, that's
all right.
And I'll send it right to you because I have it on my phone. And the number is 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. That's my cell. And make sure you send that to me, and I'll send you the flyer.
Okay, thank you. And I wanted to say something else. Earlier you mentioned that you were wanting to do a boycott, and I found this wonderful app. It's called Around the Way app, and I'm going to put it in the chat room right now. And basically what it is it's an app that you can download on your Android or Apple phone, and it has the black businesses in your area. So basically what you would do is just type like the code in your city or whatever, and it would pop up all the black businesses in the area. So those of us who wanted to support black businesses, there's an app for it. So I just kind of wanted to put it out there. And there's a website that you can go to. It's called AroundTheWayApp.com, where you can go and download it. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. Peace and love, Ann. Hold the line. All right. We're going to go to the next caller. Have about 32 minutes left to go in the forum here. The next caller calling in from area code 601. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hi. My name is LaShonda, and I'm calling from Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, greetings.
And peace and blessings to both you, Ms. Blue, and to Dr. Umar. I just want to say that I'm honored just to be able to share this conversation and to get a chance to ask my question. Basically, my question for Dr. Umar is, what role, as far as the women in the black community, as far as what role do the women and the mothers play? Because I personally, I'm a mom myself, and, I just see my son in the faces of Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown, and my heart just bleeds, and I thought about Mamie Till, actually, when I was seeing the pictures of him laying out in the street, and I was thinking about her decision to open the casket, and I felt kind of like social media kind of opened the casket, for the world to see what had happened, so it wasn't like hush-hush, low-key. So my question for Dr. Umar, is there anything that women can actively do? Because I know you talked about the men doing marches and demonstrations and things like that, but for women who are in the community who want to be a part, because, these are our sons as well, is there anything that we can do to contribute? And then I have a kind of like a two-part question. My second question is, as far as I remember you were talking about tactics and talking about turning the enemy against itself. Do you believe that as a black conscious community that we can basically use like the media against itself? Because I remember I was seeing a story about a reporter who kind of got roughed up. He was with the Huffington Post, and he was saying that how shocked he was. He was like, I'm white and I'm afraid, this is crazy. The police are just, I can only imagine what a black person goes through. And he, openly said this, because he got, I think he got arrested. He and his friend got arrested. And so it was kind of like they got a glimpse. And then I saw, as that story was shared on my timeline, some of my white friends begin to, speak out and, just kind of talk about how outraged they were. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, so of course we're talking, it's all oppressive energy when we're talking about white supremacy, but, the sons and daughters of these people who I guess they're kind of coming into a consciousness themselves. Of course, it's not on the same level as what we're talking, but do you believe that we could I won't even say partner, but I guess you could say use them as far as tactically?
Well, number one, I would say that women have the same role as men, and I think they're just as valuable. In Yoruba culture, Nigeria, they say that the man is the head of the home, but the woman is the neck that turns the head. And so we got to understand that our women are our complementary force in this struggle, that we can't go it alone, and we're going to need our sisters to be not behind us, but beside us. And I think that African women have a unique contribution to make to the 21st century conscious struggle. I think you guys have to rid it of sexism. I think you guys have to rid it of a lot of different issues that are there, but I think the women are just as valuable as the men are. When we were in Ghana, we went to one of the museums there where we saw the home where Ya Asantewa of the Ashanti, where she was kept when she was arrested by the Portuguese. And, of course, she was kept in Elmina slave dungeon before she was transferred to the Seychelles Island. So I don't believe that women play a subordinate role to men in struggle. I think it's a different role, but it is not subordinate. It is just as important, if not more important. And I think brothers have to do a much better job of welcoming women into the intellectual aspect of movements, because too many of our women are kept to only be used to cook, raise children, and that kind of a thing. And black women have so much more to offer than sex and food. And we have to stop practicing sexism within the conscious community, because that's one of the biggest reasons why so many sisters choose not to get involved, because they have to suffer a special type of sexist discrimination once they do come on board.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so true.
So true. So true.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys, and I wish you all the best success in your push for the Academy.
Thank you.
All right. Peace and love. Hold the line. We're going to go to the next caller calling in from area code 804. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are. We're going to go to the next caller calling in from area code 804. You're live in the remix.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Can you take us off speaker
Hello?
or cut your computer speakers off, please?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that. Hi. My name's Stephen,
okay.
and I'm calling from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. Well, you pressed one.
I didn't catch the, I mainly called for a reading, but that's not today's schedule, apparently.
All right. Stephen, you can hold the line. That's okay, Stephen. Just hold the line. You've been on here for quite a while. Just hold the line for us, all right? We'll go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 615, you're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Hello. Greetings. Who's on the line, please?
Hi, how you doing? My name's Isaac. I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts. How you doing, Ms. Lou?
Wonderful. Greetings to you, Isaac.
Yes, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. First and foremost, I just want to say, I'm glad to hear your voice. I kind of just tuned into your show, and I like the thought of black females. I'm starting to get back in tune with that mindset. That we can listen to black females, the same way or even better than other females and stuff. So I just like that. I like the fact of hearing your voice.
Hold on one second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right.
All right. So, I just wanted to say what's up. How you doing, Dr. Umar?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
how you doing?
Well, I'm doing well, my bro.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off. But
That's okay.
Yeah, actually, I called you a few times. I called you like twice. I was living in Tennessee for a while, so you said you were going to come there, but then I actually ended up moving. So, I just wanted to, my first question I just wanted to ask, because I'm a young man, trying to grow up in the system and all that. So I just wanted to ask you if there was any way that I could reach you, because there was like a few important decisions that I was trying to make. I just needed some, a little bit extra backing to see if there were right moves. So is there any way I could reach you?
Definitely. You can reach me by phone or email. By telephone,
okay.
It's 215-989-9858.
Okay.
And by email, Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com, Dr. No period, UMAR Johnson at yahoo.com. I look forward to speaking with you.
All right, thank you, because I always go on YouTube and I literally study, try to mastermind, kind of Sun Tzu, try to mastermind your ideologies, because I know you're an ancestor of Frederick Douglass, I believe, I think. Yes. And so you kind of have you have insight, I'm sure he speaks to you in some way, so that's pretty cool. I just wanted to ask you because I'm around a lot of people who aren't really as on the conscious level yet, or maybe they may never want to be on that level. But what role do you think, if any, what role do you think entertainers, maybe musicians, athletes, because I'm a big NBA fan, but I also listen to you, and I listen to all the other greats, the Amos Wilsons and the John Henry Clarks. I listen to them, so I'm kind of starting to venture away from entertainment at all. I just bought your book, but what role do you think entertainers, if any? Because I don't feel like they can play any role in this. But is there any outreach or just talking about, or are they kind of sacrificing? What they're, the P. Diddy's and Russell Simmons, are they sacrificing their empire to just speak for this? Does my question make sense? I kind of rambled.
No, it does. It definitely
does.
It definitely
All
does.
Right. Okay.
And I would be interested in speaking with you further too after the interview to talk about how we can work together.
Oh, okay. I can call you, right?
Yes, sir. 215-989-9858, or you can email me at Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com.
Cool. Thanks, bro.
All right.
All right. Can I?
Oh, okay. We're going to go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 240. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello, peace and blessings. This is Angela. I'm calling from D.C. I'm kind of even scared to ask you this question, Dr. Umar. But do you feel as if everything that's going on, the government knows that we're not ready to stand up, so they're provoking us to start the New World Order?
I'll follow you. Give me that one more time. Give me that question one more time.
I said, do you feel as if the government is provoking us to start a New World Order, being we're actually not in a position to fight back weapon-wise?
I'll follow you. I think the New World Order is going to come regardless, whether they attempt provocation or not. I don't think they anticipated the Ferguson reaction. I don't think they did. I can definitely see some manipulation in play to try to speed up the New World Order initiative. I can see that. I could see them manipulating some troublesome situations to start a riot. I could see that also. But I think we also have to keep in mind that even if they anticipate a riot, it doesn't mean they necessarily know how that riot is going to be carried out. And so although I think we got to be careful with it as a strategy, it still is one. And I don't think that the Ferguson incident was foreseen by the governmental forces. I think they thought black folks were down and out for the count. And I think Ferguson has breathed new life into us. And as a result of that,
I think they're going to want to try to militarize any area in this country where you have quote-unquote radicals living, But we do have to be careful, because they may look at Ferguson and say, well, let's go and manipulate another situation, and this time let's handle it differently so we come out on top. So you bring up a good point. I think we have to watch it. I think we have to be careful about going forward with any type of riot situations, but they didn't anticipate that one. That one came from the gut.
Right. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the next caller. Calling in from area code 909. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Oh, hello. My name's Aaron. I've been a fan of Dr. Umar's for a while. I just want to let you know you inspired me, man, to really get back and study my history and really get in tune with Black history. And I just want to make a quick comment about the Ferguson thing. I study politics, and I know that Eric Holder was the one who said, and he's Obama's Attorney General, to never let a good crisis go to waste. And I know you said that you were going to be going down to Missouri later, and I think that we definitely need to use this crisis as a Black community, especially in Ferguson, that energy to really, really change, if we could, possibly the laws of police brutality, especially in regards to, Black males, but even in general, because even white people are getting mad at the way that they are treated by law enforcement. And so I think that there could be a huge push to, maybe you can name it the Mike Brown law or something like that, to actually change the laws in regards to the way that police treat people, and that they could hopefully face some type of justice from the system in regards to police brutality and, outright murders, even though we know they're going to try to cover it up and try to act as if they were free from any wrongdoing. That with a lot of these cases and instances popping up, that we could hopefully use this energy to enact some type of law, hopefully to start in Missouri and then inspire nationwide, so that this police brutality, at least that they could have some type of reinforcement from the system. And another quick question I just wanted to ask, and then I'll hang up, is have you reached out to any of the members of the hip-hop conscious community? I was just going back and I was listening to the Dead Prez, and they were big Pan-Africanists, I think in the 90s, the early 2000s. And then we also have your Lupe Fiasco, Common, Talib Kweli's, and, they're not as used and manipulated by the system, and they're smart because they're conscious. I would think that donating to anything that you're doing and just having a conversation with you, that they would be interested in what you're doing and how, you want to build your schools and things.
I'll follow you. Good points. And I would say yes to all that. Those are all strategies that, I need to look at, we need to look at. I think we need to plan. I think we need to plan better. I think we need to plan more thoroughly. I think we need to have a vision towards the future when we do plan. I think that sometimes we can be too quick to want to spring into action without a good blueprint in order, in place, and I think that's one of Black folks' Achilles' heels. And I think white folk know it fully well as it relates to organizing us, that sometimes we're led by emotion a bit too much in terms of sound, strategic reasoning. And I think, going forward, in support of the comments you just made, going forward, we're going to have to be a lot more tactical, and we're going to have to adhere to military and political strategy a lot more effectively if we want to be successful, number one, and if we want to stay alive, number two. And I think that now is the time for national solidarity and cooperation. Now is the time for brothers and sisters to deal with brothers and sisters who are not necessarily located where they live at and who are not necessarily members of the conscious community too. We need to keep in mind that a lot of the people who spend a lot of time on Facebook posting and talking about nonsense, even though they may be members of the conscious community, they're not necessarily interested in change. There's a lot of people who see the conscious community as just a social vehicle. It is a social outlet. It's where they go for fellowship, but not necessarily to do the work. And so one of our challenges going forward is to be able to separate the workers from the talkers. That's going to be very critical because everyone talks, everyone has an opinion, but when it comes to getting work done, that's when you find out who the really sincere people were.
Oh, okay. Thank you for responding to the comment. Oh, and I just wanted to ask, has you, with the hip-hop, some of the rappers that may have had some money but are not as, controlled by the system, have you been able to reach out or have they tried to reach out to you about
I have some people who I have contacts with a lot of black folk in, the upper echelon of media and entertainment. As far as the conscious rappers go specifically, no. But I do know folks who are 2 degrees of contact away from some of our richest black people who have yet to respond as it relates to supporting me with the Fred Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy or any other initiative. And so I think some of that is fear of being caught by white folks associating with me. And then I think the other half of it is selfishness, that our rich blacks really could care less. And that's a shame. But I think also I'm hopeful because once we begin to educate our own children and teach them loyalty to race, no one will ever have to worry about somebody looking down upon them simply because they wasn't in a certain type of an economic framework.
I agree. Thanks for having the call, and thanks for Ms. Blue for having him on the show today.
Yes, thank you for calling in. All right, hold the line. We have about 13 minutes left to go in the forum. We'll take one more call here with Dr. Umar as we continue our discussion this evening. We're going to go to the next caller calling in from area code 561. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Ms. Blue and Dr. Umar, this is Ekendow calling from West Palm Beach.
Okay, greetings to you, Ekendow.
My question is, you were talking about possibly going, to Africa or, the Caribbean, at some point. Do you have any ideas on, integrate on how that actual integration would take place? Because I know there could be some real world, and in reality, it could be there could be some problems that, some realistic problems that could arise.
All right, good point. And without question, whenever you're talking about repatriation or moving from one country to another, there's going to be issues that arise. But I think we just have to keep in mind that you got Chinese people moving to Africa every day, Asians and Arabs moving to Africa every day, and they're not even from there, nor is the climate necessarily beneficial to who they are. So the way I see it is if they can move, and be able to accept the challenges that come with that, we should definitely, be able to do so as well. And so I'm going to continue to look into these things. When we was in Ghana, we had a workshop on dual citizenship and doing business while you're there and all that, type of a thing. So I'm going to continue to study and look for ways to ease the transition for brothers and sisters who either want to visit or repatriate back home, but I think we can minimize some of the unfortunate occurrences, but we can eliminate them. Whenever you're going somewhere for the first time to, build up a community, there's going to be challenges. But I think the thing about it is we need to work with brothers and sisters on the ground in those countries so they see us as part of them and not as an adversary. I think that's going to be critical towards building that international Pan-African trust and solidarity.
All right. Okay. I also see there would have to be a strong economic element where we would both be able to support each other, or it would be beneficial to the people there and the people being repatriated.
Well, yeah, we're still gathering information on the whole repatriation, and I'm hoping by next year when we go back to Ghana, second time, we would have made some major progress as it relates to the whole repatriation piece to make sure folks who really want to do that are totally, fully informed about, the risk and the rewards of it. before they actually commit to staying, because once you stay, you stay. You know, you can leave, obviously, but we want people to stay and build with our brothers and sisters on the ground. So we have to tear down those walls that divide us, and the truth of the matter is a lot of Africans in America don't consider themselves such, and a lot of Africans on the continent, they have an issue, too, where they kind of look down on a lot of us, consider us to be less than. So, you know, Pan-Africanism is not without its kinks. We do have some things we need to work out, but once they all worked out, I think without question, we're going to the strongest ideology and the best solution that we had as a people.
Okay. Okay, thanks, all. And meet you sometime when you're down here in South Florida, and I appreciate the response. Thank you.
No doubt. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, peace and love. That is definitely, we have about 9 minutes left to go. I do want to thank you, Dr. Umar, for coming on and always enlightening us and sharing with us what we can do, what we must do, what we should be doing, and really begin to take a look at this situation from a completely different angle. I know so many of you tonight here have learned some things about what is going on in this country and how it's been going on that perhaps maybe you didn't know before, but you also know how you can get involved. It's a couple of ways that you can, because it is all of our responsibility to make sure that we keep our children safe, our families safe, and ourselves safe. And so, Dr. Umar, it is always a pleasure to have you come really kind of bring these issues that are so challenging sometimes to be able to bring to the table and be able to talk about them raw, as I would like to say, uncut, but with so much love and so much passion in your work. And so everyone out there in Planet Remix, you guys all over the world, you know how you can donate, you know how you can support, and you know what you must do. www.drumarjohnson.com is where you can find all of the connection points to stay in tune with our brother, Dr. Umar, and support him as we do here on the Remix, and I do as well, and continue, because this fight is not just a fight for a select few. It really is something that we all must engage ourselves in at some point. So, Dr. Umar, I thank you for taking time out. You give so much, and I know it is a part of your work. It's a part of your love. It's a part of your passion. It's a part of your fight. It's a part of your will. And so I want you to know you always have a place here to come and to be able to speak and to share this information with us, and we will always support you. So with that being said, I want to give you an opportunity to close us out here with just some words you want to leave with all of the listeners from around the world.
Yes, indeed. Brothers and sisters, make sure you support. We're on our way to $2 million so we can acquire the St. Paul's College. Make sure you make that donation or mail it in, Dr. Umar Johnson School. I repeat, drumarjohnsonschool.com. Don't forget to send your resume. For those of you who are interested in being employed after school, send your resume to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. Please support me in my work as well as all the other fine brothers and sisters and elders and youth around the world who are working as well. Try to do as much as you can as it relates to supporting other people. Step outside your comfort zone. Just don't organize with your clique. There's other people out there. Support everyone. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who favor freedom but appreciate agitation are like men who want crops without blowing up the ground. He said for 20 years he looked for freedom. He prayed for freedom. But God gave him no freedom until he got up and prayed with his feet, which means we have to participate in our struggle. We can't just give it to our ancestors. We can't just give it to God. Yes, they will help us, but the work is ours. Marcus Garvey said, God never intended us to be a race without our own country, and we are not going to abuse God's confidence in us, as Booker T said, but I will never let any man drag me down so much as to make him hate me. Those are the words of Booker T. Washington. Most of all, Queen Mother Harriet Tubman said, I freed hundreds of slaves. I could have freed thousands. The problem was they were slaves. And the last quote will come from Jomo Kenyatta, again, of Kenya, and he said, the tree of freedom and the tree of revolution will not be
will not be nurtured with water, but with blood. Let's be man and woman enough to sacrifice, if we're called upon to do it, for the sake of our posterity and unborn African generations to come. Ashe.